please. Save me from
Ready. Bon appetit, bitch. You are all my children now. Up the front time, bitch. Tell him Freddy sent ya. I've been guarding my gate for a long time, bitch.
You are now entering the Dream Realm. Welcome to the Night Terrors Podcast.
Night Terrors Podcast is back. My name is Alex Thorn, and I'm joined by
Danny Garcia.
Absolutely. And thank you guys for getting us to 100 downloads already on episode 1. 2 is out now as well. If you like this new format, let us know. But in retrospect, what we do here is we take a look back at some of the series, horror franchises that we loved as kids, and we take a look at it now, like how we feel about it now compared to when we first watched it. And season 1 is focusing on the Nightmare on Elm Street series and Freddy Krueger. So far, we reviewed part 1 and part 2. We're going to do 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to remake all this stuff, and then we're going to do an episode together where we rank them. My rank and your rank.
Right.
Versus each other.
It's going to be
So
good.
that's how this season is going to end. But as of right now, I need you guys to head over. If you haven't heard of this yet, if you're discovering us on YouTube, please head over to Spotify, iHeartRadio. Subscribe to the podcast. Let everybody know about it. Share it with your fellow horror fans in the Facebook groups.
Yeah.
Because we need you guys to grow so that we can keep being motivated to do this. Danny, how are you, man?
I'm doing great, man. As you know, we just came from a really good workout. Thanks to T-Cell.
There you go, man.
Nice and strong, T-Cell.
Yeah.
Shout out. But no, feeling good, and I want to thank everybody that's shared the podcast, everybody that's downloaded it, all the feedback you're giving us. We really appreciate it. We're going to continue to do this, continue to get better, and continue to bring this content. And, hopefully you love it. Hopefully we keep growing and on to season 2, 3, 4. We got a lot of ideas, a lot of new series and stuff that we want to do. So stay with us and enjoy the ride, baby.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope you guys are enjoying not only the format but the art, the podcast art.
Yeah.
There's a different one for every single podcast that I'm doing. So if you guys like it, give me that feedback so I know that I'm doing something right. But Danny,
yes, sir.
We're here. We're at part 3. This is where Freddy really became like this phenomenon.
Yeah.
This is really where he entered the MTV.
Yeah.
He was on. Now Freddy was on talk shows.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't just a small horror franchise or a sequel anymore. Now it was like, oh, this is a thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then this is also a return back to the original director, which is Wes Craven, because we know part 2 was a whole different ball game. Like we talk about it, we always say that part 2 is almost like a one-shot movie. Part 2 was like a spin-off, right? That's what we always say. So this is, and you can tell right away that this new movie is back to the Wes Craven.
It's got a much darker tone.
Different tone. Even you speak about MTV, even the music, right? We got Dokken playing, their song on there.
Yeah.
Which is phenomenal. So yeah, different from part 2.
Completely different vibe.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And we get introduced. This movie starts out with Patricia Arquette, who would later become a huge star, just like Johnny Depp became a huge star. Part 2 didn't really turn out any big stars.
No, not at all.
But 3 definitely did. But this one, it starts very ominous, and then it goes into Dokken.
Yeah.
Her turning on the radio to stay up. Dude, she dry scooped caffeine and then chased it with Coca-Cola.
I mean, if anybody
no more
knows,
stay awake pills. She was hardcore.
If anybody knows about dry scooping, that's really dangerous. Didn't we watch on the news recently?
Yes.
Somebody had they had a heart attack or something?
They had a heart attack because they dry scooped pre-workout.
Do not do that. That's very dangerous. But that's something that really, really keeps you awake. Right. But also we didn't mention that also in this movie was Larry Fishburne, not Lawrence.
Well, I was gonna mention that
Larry.
once it popped up on the screen.
I jumped the gun, but yeah, Larry Fishburne as well. But
yeah,
definitely the music. That set the tone. That set the tone for the movie, I thought.
I think back, just getting onto that music, that's what stuck out right away.
Yeah.
Because it stuck out in part 2.
Yeah.
How different it was with the flutes and the arrangement. Then this one was even darker.
Right.
Than that. So I was like, oh wow, the music stands out. But then we got real music in there too, like Doc and Breaking the Chains. That's cool that they got several songs in there.
Dream Warriors.
Dream Warriors is the ultimate song, but it starts out with Breaking the Chains. Definitely pop culture right away. And the first thing you notice, I noticed, was the dysfunctional relationship between Patricia Arquette, who's Kristen, and her mother. Right away, her mother comes in. She's been out on the town with a guy. Just like part 1, when Tina wakes up, some guy comes up to her. Part 2, it's the same thing where the family has this, somewhat the same thing, where there's this thing with the son and the father. Right. But in this one, it's very evident again, like, my personal life is more important than my child. And
that's been the theme in all 3 movies.
Right.
Every kid has had a dysfunctional relationship with their mother and father. It almost feels like Freddy preys on those people.
Oh, for sure.
Because they're so vulnerable. They're so open to suggestion, you know? They're open to attacks. So, yeah, that's a very good observation as well.
Yeah. And, hey, honey, where's the bourbon?
Yeah.
He doesn't care at all.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, he doesn't care one bit.
Yeah, she's pleading with her mom. Hey, stay with me, mom. She's like, nah, I'd rather.
The opening nightmare. Dude, what'd you think about this? Her being in the Elm Street home, waking up with her bed in front of it. Right. Now, also, it's not a home that's physical anymore. It's abandoned.
Right.
It's not something you can live in anymore.
Right. Exactly. So it's the thing is, why does Freddy take them to that house? Like, right? We always said, like, why?
It hasn't been made clear ever.
It's never been made clear. Why? What is the connection that he has with that house? Is it Nancy? Is it that he has such a strong connection to Nancy that's where his power is the strongest? Right. Could it be? We don't know.
I don't know.
You know?
I think he had to live there when he was younger or before he died. That had to be something, but we don't know. I'm sure it's explained in a book or in a comic book somewhat. But if you guys know, leave the comments down below so we can know. Right. And point us where we can point the rest of the fans so we can find out exactly what 1428 Elm Street has to do with Freddy.
Right. Because, also in that dream, he's playing with her and she starts slicing her wrist.
Yes.
But it's her that's doing it.
That's what's so cool.
Yeah.
Like, that scene to me showed, in your dreams you see Freddy cutting you, but you actually took a razor and cut yourself. Right. Not only that, but the chasing. Of course, she gets stuck in this goop and is running slow. Yeah. And of course, then the baby doll, the girl that she picks up, where she goes, "Freddy's home." Right. By the way, this scene was recreated by the same video. I don't know. Shot director that did it back then. He redid this scene with an iPhone. Amazing. And in fact, we'll link that down below. Sure. So you guys can check that out if you haven't seen it yet. It's amazing to see that scene reshot, and it's so close, and it's with what's in our pockets, what we're using here right now.
It's amazing. Right back in the day, they're using like these probably like $50,000 to $60,000 cameras. Right? Yeah, absolutely. To shoot these scenes. Now we can just do it with
for sure.
Whatever's in our pockets. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and then after that happens to her, obviously her mom, they always think they're crazy, right? Obviously somebody's cutting their wrist. What are you gonna think? They're suicidal. I mean, it's us watching a movie are like, why are they doing that to her? Well, if you're thinking in just logical terms, you're just like, all right.
Well, the moment you call the hospital and tell them somebody cut themselves,
they're obviously they're a risk to themselves and to you, right? So that they put her in. Is it a mental hospital, I guess?
Yes.
Where a bunch of kids are there. Yeah. So, and this place it's definitely a weird place, right? That mental hospital, because you see kids that one kid cut off his eyelids, not to sleep. So so it's like something's going on where all these kids that are there, they have something in common, but they don't know it yet. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. They got group and all this stuff, but. She not only is she in the mental hospital, but we get introduced. We see Larry Fishburne come in. That's cool. He would be a megastar in Hollywood. Right. But she's screaming because they're trying to give her a sedative. They're trying to put her to sleep. Yeah. And she won't take it. Right. She kicks them off. Cuts Lawrence Fishburne. Mm-hmm. Starts singing the song. If you remember, this is really the first time anybody sings this song in the series.
Yes.
It's always been in the background, but this is the first time one of the main characters sings it. Like it haunts her. And of course, perfect timing, Nancy Thompson returns to finish off the nursery rhyme.
Right.
That I wonder if this is a nursery rhyme that the kids made up about Freddy, or if this is a nursery rhyme that he taught them.
Right. I think, you know, it's probably something that he created.
Could be.
It's probably something he created because it's so scary.
Right.
Right. As when you're a kid, like hearing that 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. That's terrifying, man.
Right.
Listen to that as a kid. You know, it's the same thing. Like, don't say, you know, the Candyman's name, right? It just makes you think like about that. Like, oh man, what if I do it? You know, but. It's pretty cool. Nancy also has that, right? That
she's got the gray hair.
The gray hair stuff.
That she got in part 1. She said that was so key that they didn't let that go.
Very good little. You know,
yeah, absolutely, man. I did love the introduction of Hypnosil.
Right.
When she drops it, right? It's like something that again, what's crazy is they don't explore that until Freddy versus Jason. Years later, they left it out of 4, 5, 6, which we'll find out. But Hypnosil, that's a great line. All 3 parts have had something cool. What was it? Stay awake
pills, and then let me
I forget what the second one was.
Let me look back at my notes. Let me see if I can find what was the other one that she had. Stay up pills.
Stay up.
Stay up pills.
So stay awake, stay up, and now we got Hypnosil. Which really sounds cool.
What does it do? It suppresses night terrors.
Suppresses night terrors. Yes, sir.
Our podcast.
Oh, he said the name of the show. But yeah, I thought that was cool. When we're introduced to all of the people, man, the one that stood out to me was Joey being so horny.
Yeah, always thinking about, right. Always thinking about the nurses. And yeah.
I don't know if it's in there in the rest of the movie. I didn't remember, but I know when they first introduced Joey, you see the tear drop on his face.
The tattoo.
Right. Yeah. But I don't remember seeing it the rest of the movie.
Me neither.
I feel like they forgot to put it in.
Yeah, exactly.
And put it on him or something like that, but I just don't remember it unless all the scenes were too fast.
Right.
That's one thing for sure. We get to Kristen dreaming again.
Yeah.
And she's back in the house, but Freddy shows up in a different way that we've never seen before.
Terrifying.
Breaking the walls, going through the floor, and all of a sudden now he's a snake.
Right.
Dude, for 1987.
Phenomenal. Just phenomenal.
Yep.
CG, I guess you want to call it, or what is it? Just effects.
Practical effect.
Yeah, it looks amazing. It looks amazing. It's terrifying scenes. Like he's swallowing her basically, right?
Yep.
And then, as we learn, is that her power, Kristen's power, is that she can bring others into her dream with her.
Right.
Which is where Nancy comes in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nancy comes in and basically helps her out.
The thing is that, and this is such a pivotal moment, but Nancy doesn't even realize. She knows that it has something to do with Freddy.
Right.
But she's never seen Freddy this powerful, which she says it too. He's more powerful now.
Yeah.
But the moment she saves her, puts the knife into her, or puts the knife into Freddy's eye, and Freddy gets up. The snake stands up, looks at Nancy, and says, "You."
Yeah.
Oh my god! And she goes, "Oh my god."
Yeah.
She couldn't believe it. Like, holy shit! This is him now.
It's him. Yeah. Yeah.
He's grown powerful, man. He's gotten a lot of souls since you left him.
Right. And it's a pretty cool way that she realizes that something's going wrong because she has that little house, right?
Yeah.
And then she hears that sound and she realizes, wait, something's wrong.
Yep.
Falls asleep and bam, helps Nancy. But you're right. Once you keep, if you start from 1 to 3, you start seeing how stronger and stronger and stronger he's getting. And I think that he doesn't even realize it until a little bit later that, man, I can do more. You know, I'm feeding off these fears. Like I can do more. He's realizing his strength, and he's just starting to do things that you never thought he can do.
Right. So we had a group in part 1, a group of friends. Part 2 was a little bit more isolated. We had a group of people, but it was mainly like 3 or 4 people.
Right.
This one, you get distinct characters for every person. What's your thoughts on this group of kids?
I thought it fits the theme, right? The Dream Warriors, right? So you're gonna have more than one person. Obviously, you're gonna have a group. But what I like about it is that it's the same thing with how Freddie preys on these kids that are so vulnerable, right? So you have the one kid who's in a wheelchair, right?
Right.
So his disability is, or his weakness is that, man, I can't walk. I wish I could walk. Even in his dreams, he can walk, right?
Right.
Then the other one is somebody that is not good with authority, right? And then he's the thorn of the group. He was waiting for it. That's why I was laughing.
Exactly.
But what about the other two? What were their weaknesses?
Well, the other two kids were Jennifer and Taryn.
Right.
Jennifer had this obsession with being a TV star, which I'm assuming is because she wanted to escape her real life, so she wanted to play other people.
Right.
And Taryn used to be a junkie, so she's getting over that as well. And these are all young kids. These are all supposed to be, late teens, early 20s, I'm guessing. The one thing you do realize in this, and they mention it, is that 6 years passed between 1 and 3.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So they've given Nancy time to grow, right? And
Yeah.
now she's a therapist
Right.
that helps kids and all that.
And I think she became that because that gives her access to people, right? Because these kids will come, it's like, I have these dreams, and a normal person wouldn't be able to help them professionally.
Well, we see that.
Right. So to her, it's like, well, if I get certified and I'm actually a therapist.
And I think it's also for herself, too.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, it definitely has to
But
do
it's
with herself.
it's definitely the ability to be able to help these kids that people think they're crazy. But she can legally help them and say, I know what you're going through. And I think this is real, and I'm going to help you through it,
Right.
Because you're not going to let some chick off the street, just a regular person off the street, you're not going to let them just come in and say, hey, I know it's this monster that's killing people, right? But if it's a therapist, you're like, well, this is...
Maybe there's something here.
I'll help them out. Yeah, maybe it's in their head, but you really know the truth.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the first real victim here is Philip.
Yeah.
And we get a glimpse. I mean, it's only like 20 seconds or so. But Puppet Freddy.
Whew.
Puppet Freddy. Now that's CGI.
But he's terrifying.
I noticed that. Your reaction of it was like, oh my God, this is so scary.
Because I remember as a kid, like, that's the thing that scared me the most, like freaking puppets.
Yeah.
Like Puppet Master. Remember the Puppet Master movies? Mm-hmm. Like, they were just because they're so small, bro. They could fit anywhere, Like, you see a little thing, like, it just scares you. You know what I mean? Like, you use your imagination. So stuff like that is...
The fear that the kids had when they saw him up there. Yeah. I thought that was very real cool, real genuine.
Real genuine, exactly.
Joey... he's a motherfucker, man. You could tell he knew how to make noise and everything. He grabbed the tray and bam, bam,
and he's mute because he's mute, right?
Yeah, but what a smart way, to do it. Mm-hmm. But either way, like, he had instincts. He had like street instincts. Yeah, really fast. The one thing that sticks out to me again here is that this is kind of it would show you what Freddy would become later down the line. Right, when he's smiling. Mm-hmm. Above, he's in the skies and he's smiling at Joey down there. Yeah. Or I'm sorry, not Joey, Philip. He's smiling at Philip, and then he cuts the strings. He shows he has a sense of humor. Yeah. Where they were trying to make him really serious. There's no sense of humor in part 1. A little bit, but it's crude. Right. 2, he's still cruel. Yeah. This one, now he's got a sense of humor.
Yeah, but it could also be just looked at like he enjoys killing. Yeah. It makes him happy. That takes him to his happy place, right? Yeah. But then the thing that disturbs me is that right after this happens, they have a group session. Remember? What does the doctor say? He let us all down.
He let us all down. He gave up.
He just gave up. Yep. He just let everybody down. It's like, wow.
So insensitive.
I mean, come on, dude. You're a therapist. That's what you're going to say to these other kids? Like, you let them down? I mean,
yeah, that was cruel.
Pretty bad.
That was cruel. Mm-hmm. Of course, Kincaid gets thrown in the room because he's wound up. He doesn't want to go to sleep. No,
because they wanted to add doses to the kids, right? Because we can't let everybody,
And they were locking the doors.
Oh man.
And they said, "Oh, nobody's gonna get out anymore. We're locking your doors now."
Right.
At night, like, wow. But we get our next one, and the next kill comes fast. These kids start dropping really fast. Jennifer. Yeah. Miss movie star actress. Burns herself too with the cigarette to stay
awake. Yeah.
shock herself, right? Mm-hmm. It's not good enough just to smoke the cigarette. She's got to burn herself. And then one of the most iconic deaths ever. Freddy showing up on the TV. Zsa Zsa Gabor. Who gives a fuck what you think?
Yep.
And then, popping up out of the TV, man, with the hands coming out.
Ah.
So cool.
So cool, man. What is his famous line he says afterwards? Remember you said it was improvised?
It was improv, yeah. He it wasn't in the script. He's the one that said, "Welcome to prime time, bitch."
Yeah, he improvised it,
Yep.
which is phenomenal. That's great. You always want to have a good one-liner, right?
Yeah.
You got to have that good one-liner.
Yeah. So before we even get to the group, now the two kids are dead. Now they're going to discover their powers and all that stuff. But why are they enabled to do this experimental hypnosis thing? Because Bill Maher over here,
he's looking like
absolutely in love and lusting. He's got lust in his eyes for Nancy, dude.
Big time.
It shows from the moment she shows up.
She's got him right there. Anything she's just like,
They're at his house.
No problem.
He invites her over instantly, having wine.
Yeah, get out of here. How unprofessional, you know? But it's pretty funny. Yeah, anything that she suggests, he's gonna do.
He's willing to put his whole career
doesn't care
on the line for a piece of ass.
He doesn't care. He doesn't care.
So that's how they come to this. I just wanted to mention Bill Maher over here.
Right.
But they discover their powers,
right.
And what were you gonna say about their disabilities?
Well, yeah, you think about the powers that they get in context with their disabilities, right? So you have Will, who's in a wheelchair, right? And his ability is like, well, I can walk now, and I can be this wizard, person that's right. Because in D&D, he's a powerful wizard, right? Mm-hmm. That's his persona, right? Because people sometimes, when in life, they feel that their real self is not the person that they want to be, or that they, they'll make a personality and be like, I'm this person now,
right?
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So to Will, he was that person. He was like, I can walk now. I'm no longer disabled. I'm strong. I'm this wizard. And then you go to Kincaid, right? Kincaid's the person that doesn't want to be controlled.
Right.
Right? So what's the thing that he does? He's strong. You can't control a person that's stronger than you.
Right.
Right? And then you have Taryn. Taryn is a person that, dealt with, right, drugs and stuff like
addiction,
that.
She fell weak to those things, but now she's powerful. Like she said, I'm a badass.
Yep. Instead of the needles poking me, now I'm poking you.
Yeah.
Right. I'm poking whatever's trying to hurt me. Right. I'm not doing it to myself. So.
Well, remember, because if you look at her, she looks like a wet dog. She looks all depressed and down. But when she's got her power, she said, I'm sexy and bad.
Yep.
So that's what she wishes she could be.
Exactly.
But I'm sorry, Kristen, we don't get to know what Joey's thing is because he's out there chasing ass.
Yeah.
But Kristen, she's ultra athletic.
Right. She's just like,
I was like, really?
She's like
kind of odd.
She's like that. Who's that girl? Simone Biles. She's just freaking flipping and doing cartwheels everywhere. Like, what the hell?
I was like, how does this go with who she is? But okay,
whatever. That's her thing.
I feel like they gave her that so that later on at the end of the movie you can have a couple kicks towards Freddy or something.
Sure.
Like that.
Yeah.
But still, it kind of felt out of place. I thought.
I guess. Yeah.
And much weaker than anybody else's dreams or powers and so forth.
Right.
While they're discovering their powers, like I said, Joey is out chasing ass. Mm. He gets tricked by Freddy, who's dressed up as the sexy nurse.
Yeah.
Takes him into a room. And
he literally gets tongue-tied. Yeah. Yeah.
So somebody who can't talk gets tongue-tied.
Right. You got to see, that's something that if you watch this movie, right, for the first time, you wouldn't think of that pun. Right? You wouldn't think of that like, oh, he tongue-tied him. Right. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's such a little thing, but like when I first watched this, they never thought about that.
They don't make a big deal about it.
No. It's the little things. That's why we do this podcast, first of all, is that we want to let you know the little nuances, the little things the little Easter eggs that maybe you wouldn't have caught. We know, we're looking at it, we're like, we know exactly what that means. So that was a cool one.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. The heat comes back.
Right.
The heat from part 2, where every time Freddy's gonna come, things start heating up. That room starts bubbling and boiling. That's something I completely forgot.
Right.
That happens in this one. Again, I said it for part 2. I'm saying it for part 3. I wish this kept going.
Yeah.
In every one of
them. And also, I think that heat comes from Freddy's that boiler room mentality and that stuff that you go in a boiler room, it's hot, right? So that's like Freddy's presence. It's that boiler room presence where you're like, damn, it's hot in here. Freddy's around.
We get more insight into Freddy in this one because we meet his mother.
Oh, spoiler.
Amanda Kruger. Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We find out, they finally tell us that he was the son of 1,000 maniacs.
Right.
That his mother was raped.
Yeah.
In an insane asylum. She was a nun in an insane asylum.
Yeah.
That's terrifying. I mean, they got in deep.
Yeah.
With this one.
Yeah.
Not only was he was a child murderer, molester, and he got burned to death. No. Now his birth was a curse on mankind. Now he was birthed out of terrible. He was brought in from hate. Yeah. Right? From not a place of love, obviously, but a place of hate. Right. And that's crazy because it's to think that. Yeah. To think that they forgot that the nun was in there blessing the inmates and closed down the place and left her with 100 or 1,000 crazy men.
Right. That's rough. That's really rough. Yeah. Yeah, I like how they're digging more into Freddy's background. Yeah. Which looking back at it now, I kind of enjoy it where they stretch out the origins from movie to movie to movie instead of giving it to you all in one movie. Oh yeah. Because it's like when you watch an episode of like a show, right? Mm-hmm. And like Netflix now we're spoiled because every episode is on the whole season's on right there. You can watch all 10 episodes. But nothing felt better than being like, I can't wait for next week to see the next episode because it keeps you thinking about it. So it's the same thing with this. Like I can't wait for the next movie because I want to know what else. Why Freddy does the things he does, Right. It's pretty cool. I like that. I like that format.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We get to see Nancy's father. Mm-hmm. He's a former police chief who's still wearing his police outfit.
In a bar.
He's no longer the police chief, but he's still wearing his stuff. He's depressed. Mm-hmm. We do hear that Nancy says it a little earlier that her mother died in her sleep. So it's confirmed.
There we go.
Not only did Grady say it, but so did Nancy. She confirmed it that her mother died in her sleep. So the ending of part 1, as we said in the last episode, is a dream. Right. It's completely a dream, and it's not Nancy's dream. It's the mother's dream. Exactly. No wonder the kids were still alive. I was always confused by that.
Right. Exactly.
And again, these are things you overlook.
Yeah.
When you first see these movies.
Right, because if you see part 1 and you never watch 3, you'll never know that was a dream, right? Not at all. You wouldn't. So, right.
We get this. There's so many secrets in Springwood because you also now know that her father was not only the police chief at the time of the murder of Freddy Krueger, he covered up the murder of Freddy for all those parents. Granted, he obviously they had reason to take justice into their own hands because the justice system failed. Right. Freddy went to jail, then got off because somebody signed in the wrong place. A search warrant, something was wrong.
A technicality.
He got off on a technicality. Right. But him, as the head of police, lied for a murder. Took the body of a dead man and put it in a junkyard. Yeah. There's a lot of secrets.
That's hiding the evidence. Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And then that's where we learn from Amanda Kruger, right? Right. Who says that the only way to get rid of this guy is to bury the bones.
I feel I didn't like that.
Well,
the sacred bury his bones, put him to rest finally. Don't leave him. I don't know.
But that's always been like that. That's always been like a haunting thing or a ghost thing. Like if you watch for you people that I'm sure you watch Supernatural, it's been on for freaking 17 years or whatever. It's always like that. It's always like, oh, there's a haunting, we gotta find the bones and burn them.
Really? Is that a thing?
Always. It's always like you gotta find the bones, burn them, or like that, like just
I didn't know that.
pour holy water or something.
For me, it always
been like
to
that.
me it was always weird.
Yeah.
I never got it. But if you're saying it's a running theme in other things, too,
it's always been like that.
then maybe I'm wrong on that one.
Yeah, you're wrong.
You've been waiting for that shit. Costume change for Freddy.
Yeah.
First time we see Freddy in a suit. When he cuts off Patricia Arquette's mother, her head.
Yeah.
So it's the first costume change we see for Freddy.
And it's so good.
Oh yeah.
It's so good. Also, how
I said, "Where's the fucking bourbon?"
Yeah.
He's such a dick.
It's so awesome, man. It's so awesome.
And now, what's interesting about that is that, like we said in the beginning, she has that fractured relationship with her mother.
Right.
But even in the dreams, Freddy found a way to separate the parent from the child.
Yeah.
He found a way in there. Because remember how nicely the mother was treating her in that dream?
Right.
You know, giving her a hug, giving her a kiss, all that stuff. It was like, that's what she wants. But
Right.
Freddy was like, no. We're not going to let you feel nice and warm and toasty.
No, I'm going to play into your greatest fears, which is like your mom rejects you.
Yep.
It's, man, it's so deep. These movies are so deep, man. If people don't get like the psychological part to these movies, it's like, I'm going to separate you from what you love.
Right.
You're vulnerable. Right there. Boom. Your mom chose a man and drinking over you.
Right.
Eesh.
Mm-hmm.
Deep.
Now we get to Taryn.
Mm-hmm.
Taryn is our next full-fledged victim. And of course, he leads her from the quiet place, the quiet room. He leads her into a back alley.
Yeah.
Sneaks up on her, has a little knife fight with her. But man, the one-liners really begin here.
Yeah.
Not only, feeling tongue-tied, Joey, not just that. That's a one-liner too. But this one, when he goes, "Let's get high."
Yeah.
And reveals syringes on his fingers. And then she looks down and her track marks are blinking. They're open.
Yeah.
Almost wanting it. Like,
It's yeah.
poor girl.
Yeah.
Poor girl.
But it's so creepy.
Yeah.
It almost feels creepier than the actual knives. It's like, oh my god, I was thinking like, dude, that's terrifying. Because I hate needles, dude.
Right.
Like most people hate needles. Like
Right. You want to shoot up once at a time. Now you're gonna get 8
you're gonna
shots
get
at once.
you're dead.
What they cut out from this scene, actually, the death scene. She has these veins. They have these veins that went up to the head, and then her eyes, I think, explode.
Yeah.
But they cut that out, and you can see there's a vein that's on her face that right towards the end, before they cut, you could see it filling up,
right,
and then it cuts the scene.
Yeah, they just cut it out.
Yeah, but I thought that I think they cut it because they said it didn't look good.
Sure.
When the eyes exploded, it looked too fake or whatever. It just didn't look right.
Makes
so they
makes
cut
sense. Makes sense.
They cut it off there.
But point made, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
He attacked her with her fears, and she just could not get over it.
From there, we get Mr. Dungeons and Dragons Will.
Yeah.
This has to be the lamest death of the whole movie.
It is, but like we said, the running theme is he's attacking these people. He's attacking these people with their biggest fear and their biggest insecurities. What's the first thing you see, and what is the first thing he sees in the dream? It's his wheelchair.
It's a wheelchair.
After he wakes up, he sits up from it. He's like, I can walk now.
Right.
Then what's haunting him? His disability, his fear.
But the way he kills him, he just he does the whole wizard thing.
Yeah.
Casts a spell on Freddy, which Freddy fucks with him.
Right.
And
Right.
says, "I don't believe in fairy tales."
Yeah.
But it's just that scene. He just picks him up and just stabs him.
Right.
I thought
Sure.
it could have been done. Maybe Freddy could have did some. Freddy could have turned into some dragon. Something like that, and ate him or something.
That would have been cool. That would have been cool.
But again, I believe in Never Sleep Again, the documentary. I believe they say that we had this whole thing planned for this death, and it was just over budget. We couldn't do it, and we finally we just settled on Freddy picking him up and just doing that.
You're done.
But I was like, oh shit, man!
Yeah.
Compared to what they had written down, that would have been great.
Right. 100%.
There's a lot more physicality in this movie.
Yeah.
There's not so much shadows and all that anymore. Now it's like you're coming face to face with him in an action scene.
Right, because part one was really shadowy, right? Like you wouldn't see him much. You would just see kind of
the only action you had there was struggle between him and a woman.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and that's cool because you see the evolution.
Yeah,
and you're like, oh, okay, now Freddy's.
And in part 2, there's no struggle.
No,
there's no struggle because he's not there. It's Jesse who's there, so it's always this distance between him and them.
Right.
But part 3, this is up front, boom, 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 right with him.
Exactly. You know, which I prefer.
Absolutely.
You know, I prefer. So.
Man, I gotta ask you, what were your thoughts on the chest of souls being introduced?
That was, first of all, creepy.
The souls of the children.
Yeah, that's when he says, "This is what gives me strength."
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh damn, you know, because you forget about it until he starts mentioning it again. Like, this guy was a child molester, child murderer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's where he gets his power from, like from kids.
Yep.
You know, and when we're talking kids, like we're talking like little kids. Yep. This is what he was doing. Like,
we're talking 4, 5, 6.
Yeah,
years.
he didn't like the kids that he's attacking now are teenagers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe young adults. Like,
young adults,
teenagers. But obviously, you can't make a movie where Freddy's killing little kids. Like,
no.
He did that, and that's what made him who he is, right?
Right.
That monster. But yeah, it was oof.
Yeah, I love the introduction. What an effect.
Great effect.
What an amazing, and just the thought. Let's put faces on his chest.
Yeah.
And they're moving.
Right.
They're moving. That's amazing for a physical effect.
It is.
You know, today I would understand them doing it with CGI, making it look stretchy, all this stuff. But back then, that was real. They made that.
Mm-hmm.
So amazing.
So cool.
Jason and the Argonauts, Freddy.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think about it? The skeleton, Jason and the Argonauts, Freddy.
That's the phoniest part, I thought. Yeah. It looked so phony.
It looked out of place.
It was so like slow, and it was just like like in today's movies, you could have made that look phenomenal.
Yes.
But back then, you're just like, what the hell is this? You know, it's just that wasn't a fan of that.
No.
That's probably the worst part.
I do like the transition. I love that Freddy realizes that they discovered his bones, and he's in one dream.
Right.
And he kind of, you know, he transfers himself. He takes himself out of one place, puts himself in another. I like that. I just didn't like the result.
Right. And the way we got there is that Nancy's dad finally caved in because she went for help. Dad, I gotta find the bones, right? You know, and he refused at first, but then he did it, and then the Bill Maher guy. Him and Nancy's dad.
He puts his foot down, man.
He puts his foot down. Yep. He's like, we got to go do this, right?
Yeah, get yourself out of this fucking slumber. You need to help us.
You need to help us. And he was gonna leave him. Remember?
Yeah.
He was like, nope. Where are you going, buddy? I
told you I would show you where they're at.
Yeah. He was gonna leave him. He's like, no, you're gonna help me finish this, bro. So, you know, they find the bones. It was in a car, and that's where Freddy realizes, like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I gotta stop them.
Yeah, I gotta stop them. But the crazy thing is,
they're not asleep.
They're not asleep. So,
yep.
Why did this happen? Yep. Right? Plow.
They're not asleep.
Mm-hmm.
He transfers himself back. Now the kids are in a hallway full of mirrors,
mm-hmm.
and Freddy shows up in all the mirrors.
Right.
You know, and doesn't he say something like, "If there was only more of me," and
right.
then he shows up in all of them?
In all of them.
Yeah, and starts grabbing them. That's a great effect too.
It's a great effect. Joey's right. He's in the corner. And then what happens?
He finally lets it out.
His power is his voice.
Yep.
He lost his power a long time ago. If you look at that, he's releasing that hurt, mm-hmm. right? That's his power. He's releasing his hurt and he's speaking up. And once he shouts, boom, no, all the windows break. So basically, Freddy's power over him has been broken because he chose to speak, right?
The next scene, the next death is hard because I think it was a mistake. It shouldn't have happened. They killed Nancy.
I agree.
They shouldn't have killed Nancy.
I agree. There was just she's the type of character that you kill in part 6 or 7.
Yeah.
When you kill her this early, it's like you know, you're taking away that original character away from coming into these next movies and using her as like she don't got to be in the movies, but right. she can be mentioned and right. she can, you know what I mean? But I don't know.
I wonder if that was Wes's way of saying, well, they can't, bring her back now. They can't make more.
Right.
You know, I'm killing off the original chemistry, so they can't make more. I do have that feeling, just like with part 1. I think once he saw 2
Right.
and saw the atrocity they made with 2, compared to what he had, compared to his story, I'm not talking bad about part 2, but when he sees how much they changed it and that he had to come back,
Yeah.
I think he felt like, well, I'm going to wrap this story up.
Probably.
We're really going to stop this now.
Yeah.
The sacred ground, that's it. We're done.
Well, probably he thought too, like, I don't want them to make other movies without me. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna cut.
Yeah.
You know, they're not gonna use my ideas.
That's what I think happened.
Could be, yeah, it could be.
Which is why they cut Nancy off. But I will say, I thought it was cool, the effects of Freddy once, you know, as Bill Maher was, and I keep referring, I don't know his name, but
He just
he's
looks like
Bill Maher.
look up Bill Maher and then
Yeah, I'm just gonna
see the
keep
movie
saying
and
that.
see.
But you know, as he's pouring the holy water on the bones, those spots come out of Freddy.
Right.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's a real cool effect.
So are those the souls leaving the body? But they destroyed them?
No, I don't think so.
No.
I think that's just like pain. That's, you know, it's they're very subtle about the connection between Freddy and religion or God. They're very subtle in these movies. You know that. They only hint at it. They don't go overboard.
Right.
The fact that his mother was a nun is even more connection. Like, oh wow, okay.
Right.
But yeah, obviously the power of God in a way, somehow, holy water, can hurt him. That's
Yes.
how evil he is.
Exactly.
He's on that realm. He's on that demonic realm.
Exactly.
I thought that was a cool effect, and you know, the cross landing on his head and him spinning and turning into dust. That would be cool. I thought Kristen, Patricia Arquette, you really saw when she came over to Nancy and hugged her and said, "I'm going to dream you into a beautiful dream. You're going to be a princess."
Yeah.
Oh my God. It didn't hit me when I was a kid, but as an adult, I was like, "Oh my gosh, she loved her so much in such a short time."
Yeah.
Because somebody finally came and helped her.
Exactly. Somebody didn't think she was just crazy.
Yep.
And hurting herself, but. Yeah, that was a great thing because that's her power. She can dream people into.
Yeah, so she said, "I'm going to dream you into a beautiful."
Yeah, because that was also the part of being the Dream Warriors is that Kristen is the main. She's the main person because the way that can be those Dream Warriors because she brings them into the dreams, right? That's how we got into this whole thing where they were all together, right? Because they'd done it before, so that's where she was by herself, right?
Right.
And she brought them in. And you're right, Nancy was the one that believed in her the most and cared about her, and it was a real heartwarming.
And it also got mentioned in this movie that these were the last of the Elm Street kids.
Right.
Again, I'm guessing that's something that Wes wanted to put in there.
Right.
You know, but there's 3 survivors. Kincaid, Joey, and Kristen.
Exactly.
Are the 3 survivors. And as long as you had interaction with Freddy, as we see at the end of the movie, when Bill Maher falls asleep, he's got the damn house there as if it's The Conjuring or something like that.
Yeah,
He's collected this shit.
Right.
And the light turns on at the end of the movie, letting you know that Freddy is still alive.
He's still alive.
He might be dead or down and out now, but he's alive in somebody's mind.
His essence is around still.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And then Dream Warriors hits and we're out.
Oh, man. What a ride.
Yeah.
What a ride. Definitely watching this movie, after watching 2, you're like, we're back. We're back to the Freddy that we started loving from part 1. You know, we're like, oh, okay. This is headed in the right direction. It's like, I can't wait for the next one.
Yeah, after, like you said, after part 1, you were like, I can't wait for part 2.
Yeah.
After part 2, back then, you were just like, I guess, whatever.
Yeah, right.
But once 3 hit, you're like, I can't wait for 4. They gotta make a 4.
They gotta make a 4.
So it did put the series back on track. So far, 1, 2, 3. Which one do you like best so far?
3.
3?
I think 3 is, yeah.
3 stands out so far?
3 definitely stands out. And that's the sign of a good franchise when, like, every other movie starts getting better.
Right.
I think part 2 I kind of give a pass to just because I feel like that wasn't, like we talk about, it wasn't a real Freddy movie, right? It was like the spin-off, I always say. But let's say from 1 to 3, the jump.
Yeah, if you watch 1, then 3, and you're like, okay, I get the story, I can follow the story, and it all has continuation.
Yep.
As always, we're going to talk about what the movie was made for, the budget, and what it made at the box office. And remember that the first movie was made for $1 million and made 60.
Yes.
The second movie was made for two or 3 million. I can't remember, but it made 30 million. I do remember that. So it made half. Of course, a great return on investment.
Of course.
But half of what the first one made. This one had a budget of $4 million and made 44. So we're still not at the level of the first one yet in terms of returns. We're increasing our budget. We're getting a little bit less back. But at least we made more than our last effort, part 2.
And it's funny how $4 million in today's, that's just probably one of the cameras they use. Because you're not going to pay, like, try today to pay Johnny Depp, what do you get for that movie? Maybe like $10,000, something
not
stupid.
Even that. He probably got to $5,000,
Yeah, something crappy, you try to, your whole budget's going to be Johnny Depp, so... Different times, man.
Absolutely. And like I said at the beginning of this podcast, this was the beginning of Freddy entering pop culture. He's everywhere now.
Right.
And the video stores, the mom and pop video stores, now have cardboard cutouts of Freddy. They're getting videos in the mail with Freddy advertising himself, saying this is why you want to get the full package from New Line Cinema so that I can haunt the dreams of your customers. I've seen this is all on YouTube for you guys.
Yeah.
That he's really becoming a thing now. Now they're starting to make merchandise of Freddy. They realize what they have now.
Right.
There was no doubt after this that they were going to make a 4.
You had to. I think it would have been different if the return on investment would have been lower. Like if it would have made $4 million and it only made like $10 million.
Oh, my God. Yeah, the series would have been over.
It would have been over.
Yeah.
So good thing that it did keep going on.
Absolutely.
But definitely, you have to market a character like that. Like I said, Halloween costumes, everything, man. You got there's so many these video games, right? Freddy, how many video games is coming out? Mortal Kombat, Dead by Daylight.
Now, yeah.
Like he's everywhere still, and this is cool because there's people that didn't grow up on Freddy like we did that get to see this character now,
Yeah, and if they discover him in Dead by Daylight,
yeah,
now they can go back and see where he came from.
Right, because the thing is, some of the people that are introduced to Freddy, the only reason they know him is because of the new movie.
Yep.
And that's not a good way to be introduced.
We haven't gotten there yet. No spoiler alerts.
Like, that's not the right Freddy, That's not our Freddy, darn it, So
Right.
Man.
Absolutely. Guys, if you're enjoying the format and the way we're talking about this, or you have suggestions for us, pass along the information.
Right here, baby.
As you see right there, that's an advertisement that goes out with every single T-Cell Nutrition order, which is another one of our sponsors, as well as our show, Over AF Wrestling Podcast. If you're a wrestling fan,
that's where we started,
and you like our chemistry, me and Danny, we also have another podcast on wrestling called the Over AF Wrestling Podcast. It's in between seasons right now. We'll be coming back in August for that one. But if you're loving this, please tell your horror friends about it. Share this video. Subscribe to us on Spotify. That's our biggest market right now. We're trying to get onto iTunes, but they're having a lot of issues certifying new podcasts for whatever reason. But they're working on it. I've been in contact with them. Guys, next episode will be The Dream Master.
All right.
Nightmare on Elm Street 4. This is what's truly known as the MTV Freddy.
Mm-hmm.
Can't wait to see you guys.
Can't wait.
For Danny Garcia, I'm Alex Thorn. Take your stay awake pills and don't fall asleep.